Hello everybody and welcome back to Up the Guts. Yes, we are now continuing with our season previews as we've done all year. And we're at the back end of our previews now, going into the last few teams before the season starts, and it's not too far away now, and I'll make sure to get that latter video out for you too. But today, we've already done all of the previous teams, so make sure you go watch that as well after this. But today, we are up to Richmond. So without further ado, let's get into the Richmond Football Club. In 2024, Richmond had a really struggled year, and I think they're going to struggle for a fair few years going into the future. They finished with wooden spoon in 2024 in the 18th spot. Some of the ins they brought in, they didn't bring in any players as such, like from other teams, but they have gone to the draft and they end up getting pick one with Sam Laylaw. Now, Sam Laylaw has injured himself, but they reckon he might be a chance to go for round one, if not earlier in the season. He looked really good. He's a midfielder. Josh Smiley, pick 7, I believe I heard, also may have injured himself, which is not a great start, especially for a lot of the draftees, with Jagger Smith also rupturing his ACL, confirming his season ending, which was my pick for Rising Star. So it's really not a great start there, but yeah, so a lot of the draftees going down, which you never like to see anyone going down with injuries. And then you got Taj Houghton with pick 12 as well. Jonty Hall with pick 14. Luke Traynor, who was always big talks about, big key defender. Probably went a bit later than everyone expected with pick 21. Harry Armstrong with pick 23. Tom Sims with pick 28. And Jasper Algar with pick 58. But the problem here with the Richmond is we talk about their outs. Now, going out is Liam Baker and Jack Graham, who both go to West Coast. Now, Jack Graham is a solid player, but he's not going to hurt you as much because he was still, he played some really crucial games. But the person who is going to hurt is Liam Baker. He was like a Mr. Fix-It there for Richmond. Damien Harwood previous to that. Obviously, the coach previous to that. Not McCulter. Uze. Obviously, McCulter was an assistant coach there, now over at the West Coast Eagles. Yeah, so Liam Baker obviously could play half back and go for the midfield, could also play half forward and impact the scoreboard as well. Just really hard at it and really honest footballer, old school type of footballer too. Shea Bolton is another massive one for them. Now, he's gone over to the Freo Dockers to boost their team, and they're going to look scary, the Dockers, going into 2025. Shea Bolton, a couple of years ago, could argue he was in the top 10 players in the league, just the way he can play that midfield role before he's so damaging on the scoreboard. But just didn't look interested in last year, especially in the second half of last year. Was just disinterested and was clear that he wanted out. Now, this player didn't look disinterested, but there was always rumours he wanted to go back. He has a really strong relationship with Damien Hardwick. He's one who can hold his head up high for one of the ones leaving that play to the end. That's Daniel Rioli, so he'll be a crucial loss for them off the half-back line. Is really starting to become a great player of the competition off the half-back line. Dustin Martin, what's much to say about Dustin Martin? 3 norms. 3 norms? Yeah, 3 norms. A Brownlow medal. Just, it's not much to say. He was a superstar, obviously, coming in as that forward, now then turning it into the midfielder who goes forward and hits the goals, and he was just a star. Not much really to say about Dustin Martin that hasn't already been said, to keep it simple, but he was just a star. His fend-off will go down as in the history books as one of the key moments, like a Kappa when people scream when they go for a specky, or a Jazzalinko goal when they go for a specky. For a fend-off, people will go around as they have been for the past at least 6 years, when people are fending off going, Dusty, that's got to be known, which could transfer to being more like Reed. They're coming in, but Sam Naismith retired, who they picked up, I want to say, mid-season or the rookie draft last year. They picked him up because he was playing over in the VFL, Port Melbourne. Marlon Pickett retired. Obviously, first player to debut in a grand final, was arguably one of their better players in that grand final too. Dylan Grimes, what a warrior he was for their club, held them down. Had injury problems earlier in the year, early his career, and didn't know what he was going to be. Always, the best part about Dylan Grimes is he could play on small, he could play on tall. He's only about that 6'4", 6'5", but he could mix it with the smalls because he had the pace to go on and just the competitiveness. But in the talls, his competitive nature just enabled him to beat every contest and wear his heart on his sleeve for the club. Matthew Coulthard was delisted and Noah Cumberland was delisted, which was a bit of a surprising one. They opted not to play Noah Cumberland a lot, I noticed. And I thought whenever Noah Cumberland played, he always hit the scoreboard, so I thought it was a bit interesting. But going by reports, it was his defensive efforts weren't particularly happy with, so they've had to let Noah Cumberland go. Now let's have a look at their list. Key defensives now, very, very young. Ben Miller, Josh Gibcus, who we only saw a couple times last year before he went down. He went down round 1, actually, as a matter of fact. But there is a lot of big hopes for Josh Gibcus. Noah Bolter, who could be anything. They trialled him a bit up forward too, a bit in the ruck. Luke Traynor, who I touched on earlier, probably went a bit later. Big raps about him in the draft camp. Tyler Young, who we saw a little bit, and Jacob Blight. Now defenders, Nick Loston plays a key role down there, just holding it all together, consistently plays well. Probably an underrated player too. Jaden Shaw, we know, racks up a lot of the ball, gets meters gained as well and uses the ball well. Tom Brown's an interesting one. Beautiful user of the footy, so I'm interested to see him build as he gets more games under his belt. Nathan Broad's another honest one who can lock down a defender. James Josiah, who we saw a couple times, and Caleb Smith as well. Midfielders we've got, now, some of the midfielders, it sounds good on paper, but they just can't stay on the park. So, Dion Presta, we know, goes down a lot. Jacob Hopper didn't play as much last year. Jack Ross, Hugh Ralph Smith runs along that wing all day. Tim Taranto probably didn't have as good of a season as he did the first year of the Tigers. Josh Smiley, the draftee. Sam Layle and Taj Houghton, also the draftee. Thompson Dow, who there's lots of talks about, but he's just not getting a lot of game time or just not showing it when it gets to AFL level. But Kane McAuliffe, who showed some really good signs last year, I thought could be a player for them for the midfield for years to come. Camden McIntosh off that wing, and Sam Banks is actually listed as a midfielder, but we've seen him more play that half-back role. So it'll be interesting to see if this is right and he's going more into a midfield position coming into the 2025 season. They've got 4 ruckmans. They've got Toby Nankervis, the skipper, obviously battles there hard. He's a very good, honest ruckman. Obviously, they picked him up from the Sydney Swans, and he's been a warrior for them ever since coming across. A very good ruckman. Samson Ryan is building. I just don't know if he has the body for to compete with the big monsters in the ruck. And they've trialled him down forward, which I don't mind him down forward, but it's just I think his body puts on a bit more muscle as he gets older. Hopefully he could be something. Mate Kalia and Oliver Hayes-Brown. Now, key forwards, they're probably struggling a bit here. Tom Lynch. Don't get me wrong, Tom Lynch, great player. Just come back end of his career now, and his body's just starting to let him down. Jake Kuziski showed a little bit. Obviously, they picked him up from Hawthorn last year. Harry Armstrong, who they just drafted. Liam Forsyth, Thomas Sims, McKelty Lathoun, who showed some really good signs, actually, before doing his ACL, I believe it was. But he's a real live wire. Campbell Gray and Jonty Fall. As I look over at their small forwards, Ryan Mansell I really like. He's always good for that one, at least 1 or 2 goals a game. Probably just gets suspended a little bit more than he would like. At least he was earlier last year, but be interested to see him. Morris Rioli Jr., I was a big critic of him earlier, but I thought he ended the back end of last season reasonably well. Judson Clark, who we've seen get a bit of opportunity, played a lot of the sub. Jasper Alga, Tyler Stoncy, Seth Campbell, and Steely Green we saw to the back end of last year. Now, prediction for the Richmond Football Club. I have not got them moving from their 18 position. I think it's going to be a long rebuild just with the talent that they've got on the list now. Look out for, I mentioned him being a beautiful user of the ball, but I'm interested to see how what Tom Brown can bring in this season off the half-back line. Beautiful user of the ball. Seemed really, he was only averaging last year, if we look at 12.5, he played the 17 matches and only averaged a 12.5 disposals a game, but he kicked 4 goals as well. It'll be interesting to see him lift that to that 16, 18 disposals a game, because the way he uses the ball, he doesn't waste a possession and he can really drive them out of that half-back line, and the ball's going to be down there plenty. His best game was against was round, I haven't even got what round it is, but it was against St Kilda. He had 18 disposals and 9 intercepts. Now needs to lift. I mentioned their midfielders and are good on, not bad on paper, but they just can't seem to stay on the park. And this is one of them who needs to lift. Coming over, he came across with Tim Tarrant from the US Giants. That's Jacob Hopper. Jacob Hopper's a really, really good player, but he's just not proving it at AFL level, and he's not keeping his body right. I feel like he needs to lift, get his body right, and really lead this young team alongside Tim Taranto to get them back and really restart their rebuild. Now, we know they will probably sold more with the dream that Damien Hardwick would be there. He's not there anymore. Now, it's just time to move on from that now and take on that leadership role, because he is a quality player. He only played the 12 matches last year, did average just under 24 disposals and kicked the 3 goals. Best game was round 16 versus Carlton, where he had 25 disposals and 5 tackles. Well, there you have it, guys. There is my 2025 season preview for the Richmond Football Club. I've got them finishing around 18th, and I think it's going to be a really long rebuild. So hopefully they stick together. See if they let Adam Uze do that. Look out for Tom Brown for his beautiful use of halfback. I reckon if he can lift that to 16, 18 disposals this year from 12.5 a game, he'll be a really good one for them. And needs to lift Jacob Hopper. Get his body right, play a full season, and really lead that midfield alongside Tim Taranto. Well, that will do it for us today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like this video and leave a comment below on YouTube. If you're listening to this on wherever you stream this, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you leave a like. Turn on the notification bell, both on YouTube and wherever if you're listening to this via streaming platforms. Turn the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. If you're listening to streaming platforms, leave a 5-star rating, as that does help get the show out there. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because there's still plenty more content to come. But as we close in on the AFL season, and it's just around the corner, and with the AFL season coming, there'll still be plenty more content rolling out. It's going to be a big year. So I'm excited to get the content out for you guys to watch. So the way you can do that is by following and subscribing and sharing it around to a mate. Thank you guys for listening, and that's it for today. Until then, I'll see you next time.